bones. Things change, but sometimes that just means things cycle back around. But when you're a gardener, that can be a good thing. Hello, it's me. And I don't know if it's like global warming or something, or if it's just the fact that we live around the water around here, relatively speaking, but it's already warming up. It's kind of nice that things are not covered in ice so much anymore. It's still a little chilly, but as you probably saw in the intro to this, my catnip on the balcony is... There's a glare on the thing, I can't tell where to look. My catnip on the balcony is already starting to grow again. So obviously this is a good time to do more garden planning, do more seed sprouting, and I wanted to share our planning for the 16 by 10, I think it is, community garden patch that we were really lucky to have last year. And on top of that, we got it a little bit later than they normally give out the plots and ask for fees and things, because whoever had it before us had already done a bunch of their planting, but for some reason they decided that they didn't want it anymore, or they couldn't have it anymore. So a lot of what we had last year was random things that sprouted without us actually putting it in. But this year we're gonna pay more attention, do more planning, see how much we can get out of it, because we want to eat more of our produce from what we actually... I say actually a lot. That's one of them I should work on, because is going away, but it's just being replaced with other stuff. So let's just get on with it. So this is the... Let's see what angle I need to do for... So if you've seen any of the other garden videos, it is big long rectangle, not as long as some of the other ones, but we don't need that right now. And so we have the front gate up here, which will eventually be replaced, but I drew this out because I couldn't find my graph paper. Because I couldn't find my graph paper. So each of these squares is 1 foot square to a scale of 1/2 inch to 1 foot. And I can't read that backwards. Let's see if I can do that. So we already have a bunch of permanent, semi-permanent things in there at the corners, which we kind of expanded on to make sure that they have room to grow without us already trying to use up that space. And so the main things that we are trying to grow this year are the obvious things like carrots and radishes, and we're going to try some celery because Brianna is the more technically minded in certain ways, so she got a dehydrating package attachment for... She got a dehydrator attachment for the Ninja Foodie, I don't know what the general term is for it, but it's like an Instant Pot, but bigger. And so we're actually going to have Harvest Days this year where we take it home and we preserve it, and I'm really excited about that. And I promise I'll show this to you again, but I can't read it backwards, because the camera that I tend to use for these videos is my phone on a stand, which is backwards. And so let's... okay, so we have Spanish lavender in the back corner, which you've seen in other videos. If you've seen the other videos, if not, go watch the other videos, please. We have a tea plant at the back left corner that when I bought it from a nursery around here, it was labeled with one of those hang tag things that said it was a variety of tea that was specifically cold resistant. So even though we don't get lots and lots and lots of feet of snow around here, we tend to have at least one, like, oh no, it's snowing kind of thing. And I am hoping that does pretty well, and I want to clone it using a book that I got a while ago that I probably should have grabbed, but I may do a video just on the tea plant eventually, that was saying that you can clone them from taking cuttings from the leaves rather than like cutting pieces, like woody pieces off of it. And so around there will be the chamomile, because we need to have tea things. That's just how it works here. And in the center back there we have a thornless blackberry that the label said that because it's thornless and it was bred not to spread, it'll just stay in the vicinity there. And I've done several garden videos and it hasn't really spread. It's coming out from the same nub thing there otherwise, because all around the back here is the wild blackberries, and oh, those spread, and it would go talk to its friends in a heartbeat if it wasn't the kind that we already have. And Brianna wants beets. I've never actually had those before, but they're also good for dyeing, and I'll see if I can cook something that she likes to eat. And so we already have the patch of broccoli there. We're gonna try marigolds, because if you're relatively new to gardening, or if you just never gardened at all, you may not have heard the term companion planting, but it's basically the concept of... There's people out there. How dare they? It's the concept of, if you plant the right things together, they form a symbiotic relationship where they can actually protect each other, or at least the normal, like, edible, like, non-vegetable plant can protect the vegetables because it keeps certain kinds of pests away. So marigolds are good for that because they have a certain smell that keeps away a lot of common pests. And then we have the little strip here where in my other videos you probably saw the long skinny planter, and that is full of Japanese mugwort, which is something that I wanted to grow for my personal, like, spiritual reasons, but also it's good for the smoke cleansing sticks you might have seen in, like, I don't know, spooky witchy shops. They tend to be labeled as like smudging sticks, and that's a whole new rant for a different video, but I'm trying to be a little bit more vocal in that direction, so let me know if you're interested in why that's not a good idea. I'm not trying to say never buy something labeled a smudging stick, but it's not supposed to be called that, because that refers to something else. And we had a plant that popped up in the previous owner's planting called Marvel of Peru, which is pretty cool, because what I used to do is go to the garden kind of when it started, like just before sunset, and then I would leave as it started to get dark. But these would bloom when it started to get dark, and I'm very interested in that. And there used to be a bunch of them all around, but since, let's just say, you don't want to eat them unless you're in the middle of nowhere and you really, really need the effects that they provide. And so I just want one of those so I can kind of study it a bit more. And there is a little trellis that's been hanging out behind our patch there that I don't know why it's there, like who was using it for whatever else, but it's been there for a while and nobody's been using it. So what we plan to do is put beans up on there and some of the shade lettuce stuff up through there. And hopefully we can also plant some pumpkins on the side here, because we are also fortunate to have a plot that's on the end, and there's a bunch of other plots that, let's just say, have overflowed their bounds, and so we don't want to stretch the rules, but using the acceptability of certain practices as a baseline, we are planning to see if we can get some pumpkins out of it, and in the fall make some pumpkin pie, some other stuff. And sugar pie pumpkins are about the size that I like to carve. When I was younger, I used to like to carve the biggest one I could possibly get, because you could put more designs on it than the smaller ones, obviously. But now that I'm older, it's just that I want to carve a pumpkin. I don't want to get too involved, and also I have some reactions to touching too much of the squish, like I get itchy and everything. So about that size is about my speed right now. And so pumpkins on the side, and this one says pole beans, spinach, lettuce, arugula, and chives for some companion planting kind of stuff in there. And also potatoes, because those are fairly easy. You just keep the tops alive and the roots, they do their thing. And Brianna was saying that she wanted to try corn, and I don't know much about that except that you have to have a certain level of layers, a certain amount of rows. That's the term. And what are we doing here? Okay, so other side is more potatoes if we can fit it, green onions, tomatoes, because I saved the seeds from a few heirloom tomatoes that we bought a while ago, and I still need to put a googly eye right there because I saved the seeds from some of the heirloom tomatoes that we got a while ago, and I tested out the germination rate. It makes me sound so scientific, but I tested out the germination rate on a pot that has been sitting on our balcony, and they do germinate. But sadly, it was an impulse kind of thing, and I had tossed them in there and covered them with dirt right before it got cold. So I don't know if they're doing okay, if they're still alive, but I still have some more. And also peppers, because they are tasty. And garlic and onion, and then we have the carrots and the radishes and the celery for preserving for cold weather soups and things. And we also have that pole thing that we stuck in the ground and covered with bricks and all that we're gonna pay more attention to and put strawberries on probably, as well as a planter in the front, because I have another one of those long skinny type of things I'm not using for much, to put mint all around there. And there's stuff that we can put under the hanging stuff, but we didn't want to pack this so full, because you can probably see there's some empty space right there, that if something happened, we absolutely couldn't plant anymore without being irresponsible. And there was so much that germinated in the garden to begin with, but there were also things that we weren't very interested in, but we wanted to pay attention to and just see what happened and collect seeds, because if we were going to start all over, it would be late, and then we wouldn't be able to get as much as we might have before if we had started on time. If we started even later than we did, we would get even less than if we had started on time or started at the moment that we got it. So this is our plan so far. And I'm really excited about this because I, in the past, have been a very impulsive person who is not very organized, but also in taking more care of things like ADHD and having some various life pressures that necessitate me actually scheduling out what I'm doing for the household, being more proactive in being self-employed, not just for a literal, like someone handing me a paycheck or just making sales, but being more organized in how things function is really exciting and really stressful, but in a good way, because I work better when I put pressure on myself versus someone just telling me to do something, because that's normally when I ask why and then they don't tell me why, I just do it, and I don't react well to that. So I'm excited about actually having a plan. There's still, you might have noticed, a list on the side of some things that we still have to get, but like I've said before in past videos, I believe that everyone should have a chance to grow something, even if it's... I was kind of down on people who, I think I called it vanity gardening, just gardening for looks, but I think people should be allowed the opportunity to have a houseplant that does well, and even if they're growing anything from roses to carrots to stuff for tea, it's something that I haven't come across a ton of people who appreciate that for what it is. Even if you don't have the opportunity to have a full vegetable garden, there's something soul-enriching to being able to take care of something living. And I don't mean that just like, getting a pet or something. It's a calm, measured, paying attention to something else that doesn't necessarily communicate with you the way someone else would. I don't know precisely where I was going with that, but it's something that can be profoundly beneficial for mental health, and I am very, very lucky to have a 16 by 10 space this year. So I hope you will join us as we go through that. I am hoping to get another bag of dirt for some of the seedling cups. Secret, they're actually egg cartons that we saved from earlier because recycling! Woo! And hopefully by next week or early February, because the midwinter holiday is early February, like 1st and or 2nd. I don't know, I'm very loose with my interpretation of that. So at least in early February, I'm hoping to have all of the seedlings that we're looking for in cups, unless I know where to get the actual seedlings somewhere else. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm glad to take you along.